당은 날로 저에게 심지어 담지기 산지고 본 토발라는 자주심 냠는 이제는 제 산지 호연자 당은 자주 심 냠는 제기 날 랍자 나 준주 침모 디마슈고래 산디네자 당은 그 생각을 쉬버려라나 당은 개월 두고야 이렇게 침보를 쓰는 사고에 침보를 상당한 주에 코와 바세야 될 양은 주게 진내 나자 망부 아니지 남이야 망부 동아 뇽모바 망부 되네기 아니 몽바 마리비 팁셔도 제직 되게 갑라 예바레 되네 예비링라 아니 산이기 진일랍제 안절야 갑릴야 안직 개월 두게 최제게 개월 두게 아니 그노 삼노 기고레스 갑리 기고레스 지난 디네기 계획에 개와디다 안줄이야 지금 뉴발 마선의 충주마도 요 말레스 지나다디 곰니 안에 양도 곰체네 균드네 곰체네 아니 곰고레스 곰체네 뉴버 공부도 땅고레스 생각도 디고 쉬버로
Good evening. So we're looking at this text which presents the technique to develop bodhicitta, which is indispensable to cultivate in order so that we can train our minds to the point of perfection, where we can become Buddhas, attain the ground of no more training, so that we can be of greatest benefit to others and lead them to their own enlightenment. So our text is now presenting how to develop bodhicitta. And last week we looked at how in this world ourselves and all other samsaric beings experience so much suffering, whether it's on the physical level, that of physical pain, and certainly that on the mental level of mental pain. All this illness and suffering that beings experience coming from its root cause of ignorance, and ignorance that obscures us, leaving us in a state of darkness, as if we were blind to wisdom. Recognizing the situation we're in, we need to also see how incredibly fortunate we are to have met the Dharma. And having met the Dharma means we now can understand the need to cultivate virtue, what is meant by virtue, and how to cultivate virtue, how to develop minds of virtue. Having met the Dharma, such an opportunity is incredibly rare, as is the wish to, or the aspiration to develop virtue. So we need to nurture this aspiration for virtue by reflecting on how truly fortunate we all are. And by reflecting this way again and again, this aspiration for virtue will grow in us to the point where it overwhelms us and guides us in everything we do. This then is what we looked at in brief last week.
아니마 드링 쉬어야지 더 디버 방법을 해야지 디버 방법을 해야지 거래 제사다 이제 디버 방법을 쉬되 되는 마 장주심기게 편디게 있는 편디게 시거래 쉬어야 되다.
Last week then we looked at the need to cultivate virtue, and this week we come to look at the need to abandon non-virtue. And this is now where we come to the very first of the benefits of bodhicitta that is presented in this chapter.
디버 덮친 신도 미세바 내년 조비 장주 신민배 민바 계신 관계시 유념벌 교루스.
The sixth verse then has these three lines. Non-virtue is of great and overwhelming strength, except for perfect bodhicitta. What other virtue could overcome and surpass it?
단 디바 신도 덮친 미세바레 세대당 아주 가상 아주 개화된 아주길에 개화디 산지의 투진일납을 된행 아주리아 개화 계획이 자에 개화 제약이 뜸바다 개화 중세 기고레스 디 개화디 냠 춘슈레 니버 춘슈레 안디 잔 아주 디 안에 양도 검진 니버 철당 고레스 계속 쉬르와다 지상 아주의 개화된 냠 춘슈레데 아주리아 디바디다 빼마스 덮친부 아니 신도네 메세바 디바 신도 덮친부시 요레스 아주길라 다 코와바 아주길라 디바디 빼마스 덮친부레스 개화디 니버 춘슈레 개화 니버 춘슈레 디바디 아주 덮친부레스 디바 신도 덥치 미세 봐야 돼.
Last week in the previous verse, it's a 5-line verse, and that the last line there was that virtue is perpetually feeble. So this was referring to our aspiration for virtue is weak, it is feeble. Now in the next verse, the first line is non-virtue is of great and overwhelming strength. So this is to draw the contrast between our aspiration to virtue as on the one hand, but the strength of the non-virtue on our continuum, our habituation to non-virtue on our continuum. So therefore these two lines have a relationship.
Zanda dibadi shindun top chembore misebare zede top chembore misebare be masege kasore 가서 뉴베 첨부 아니 배 이렇게 가서 잡보로지 잡보다 주바로지 해서는 뭐지 미세바스도 잡보다 주바 아니 배마시게 그치 봐 매워서야 깔래가보래 해서지 미세바스 디세월 되는지.
With the end of the previous verse and the beginning of this verse, we see there that the aspiration for virtue, this comes, but it's infrequent and it's weak. Whereas on the other hand, our non-virtue, we have great habituation to it. It is as a strength that could almost be called, let's think of another way to express this. It has a strength that overwhelms us. It's a strength that is so severe. I'm trying to think of a better way to put this. The word is like violent, violent or fierce. But so let's just stay with overwhelming. That the strength of our habituation to non-virtue overwhelms our mind. The word, Kuskena was using a word in addition to what we have here, but it's best then expressed as it is here, that it overwhelms us. It brings, almost generate fear within us in the way that it overwhelms us.
아주 디바디바 수직이 디바 결혼 제거해서 구마타야 당 고고마 남상 아주기 지게 샤당 슈알이야 아주 리주고네 디바사야 마요고네 디바사 이주고네 삼다 륜아 이숨요고네 디바디 빼지게 야네 야도 사주가서 책으로 와 지사다 대안이 지사바데 제왕아마네 바 무티제 사네 아주기 균 바직 지바사 디기 바샤샤샤 되니기 톱침보로 슈차되래 내가 니미지를 삼다에나 아주 세다가라 니미지를 삼다에나 당 아주 삼로디 땅 비다에나 저 륜아 26년에 개와 주게데 빼 뇽뇽 아니 지게 디버사야디 아니 지게 게디나 디바디 양생하세 사주야 차한자 디네 자다 디바디 양네 양도 사야다 윤링봉아마네 빼 개왕아마 토마 매번 파 사지다 디바도 디바사시 용도변자 디바디 빼마서 돕침보리 사지한서 돕침보 임비김제다 돕침보스를 빼마서 망보단 지 돕침보 세고로 와대 디네 돕침보 임비김자 디로와
When we pay close attention to our mind, when we use mindfulness, we'll see that non-virtue naturally arises within us, spontaneously arises within us. People don't need to instruct us, make us, for example, speak in a harsh manner or twist the truth a little bit. This way, or this non-virtuous way of acting spontaneously arises within us. So this is the meaning of being overwhelmed by our non-virtue. We are so deeply habituated to it. Our continuum is, you could almost be expressed as pervaded by non-virtuous imprints. Hence they so spontaneously, readily arise within us. Virtue, on the other hand, this all too often feels like we need to intentionally recall the teachings, generate a virtuous outlook. But the non-virtue, this is something that when we pay close attention, we can see the habituation that we have to it. So this is how we come to understand that it is of great strength and overwhelms us, dominates us.
dunga yonggo ya di shukchenpu tigo re siwa de. Chesna tsubo si de dulo pe rakpa tsubo ru chi na dela chado rebu khara yaro tsowa dunga si ligirwa. O di na shi dipa se te top chenpu, shukchenpu. Digi pe rebu diya pe suyama tobe kanga teya, kanga nyoya ki rebu tugo, rebu kiye gyuchi go re si. Ne drakbu re si de, dini ki dipa digi pa pe drakbu inza, digi le dine ko pangaya ya kala khabu. Ane chingan zu mewa suya la kalak bore, se chakbu da, zubu da. Ane shena tsubore la, be shena tsubore su, digi, digba di yoba na, pe na nga zuge semjen, pe milya tsewa jen, puto na shena tsubore, karisane digi so nyoba ki shena tsubore, kanga sop choya da, dine kanga yungu yoba zi shena tsubore sikoro. Chisan digba top chimbo de shena tsubore, digi karisane, shena tsubore mi kimcha karisane, digba top chimbo digi, nga tsu kiwa chimba kahali karisane, di tebu dunga nyongoya, dunga pado meba nyongoya di, ane chiko gyuchigo re, di enza diba di shena tsabu re, ko digi tebu dunga pado meba alpa, manzo kiege nyinga yoba ze shena tsabu re. Ane di pa diba di pe chik chakbu re, karsa ko pa kaya le, manzo ponya le kale khabu re, enza ko chakbu re sayada. Ane kaso re, dine tsubu re sayadi, digi tebu dunga nyongoya di, midewa chayage gyuchigo yoza, zuboda, zhaboda, and jike shena tsawo sayadi, dushin miseba sayadi ganjile suyamatoba sayadi chakor miseba sayadi, miseba.
The term then that we have as overwhelming, this implies the habituation that we have to non-virtue, that it spontaneously, readily, for the smallest of causes, arises within us. Another way to understand this is to translate the same word as being dreadful or unbearable or terrible. What that then would refer to is a different aspect, the ripening result that comes from the arisal and acting under the influence of non-virtue, the suffering that will follow. So the mere arisal of non-virtue in our mind leads to suffering being experienced immediately. But if we grasp at that non-virtuous way of thinking or act under its influence, we accumulate further causes that can ripen in the lower realms. So here we can perhaps, again, we'll take an illustration from the animal world, but if we watch our own mind, we see how we respond in a way that's similar. So if an animal is threatened, it's attacked, immediately a great fear arises within them, and they will either fight back, or they'll freeze, or run away. When we watch our own mind, we'll see similar responses coming. And this will often be accompanied by fear, an intense fear, feeling that we are attacked, we are in danger, whether our life is being threatened or not, but we will feel as if we are being challenged, that we are being attacked. And from this arisal of afflictions, from non-virtue ripening in our mind, we may well create further causes that can lead to suffering results in this or future lives.
And digi karchi was nekiwa chimanga zugi, and Zinyawada ida dundola sopa kevaina, Delia and Dunga Bottom, Dunga Miseba Nyayong. Chisan Jevu Miseba, Jevu, Digi, Jevu, and then Azu Dunga, Zematoba, Kanga, Zematoba, and the Kanga, Chimosura, Dinigi, Dunga, and the Chike, Miseba Nyoya Chagore, Essage, Dikuchigore, Essed, Tangazuki, Tibadi Dinishigore, Essage, Digbigida, Ko Yenesina, Kishesina. Again,
this word overwhelming also can be translated as unbearable, unbearable or intolerable, excruciating. So this has the second meaning. The first, overwhelming, was indicating the habituation to non-virtue. The second, that of being unbearable, intolerable, that indicates the ripening result that can follow from accumulating further non-virtue. So therefore, we need to recognize the need to abandon non-virtue, not only because of the suffering that we will experience now as non-virtue ripens in our continuum, but through the accumulation of further seeds. If we do not purify them now in this life, while we have the opportunity, they may well ripen in propelling us into the lower realms in our next life, where the suffering will be, and here's that same word, overwhelming, unbearable, intolerable.
Anzugula Dipa de Yane Yanu Sagora Nyama and March Kawangaman Mambo, Sashing of the Basha Shasho Mambo, Chesada, the Niki Dipa de and you need some time and as Yasi as a Sagor, the Dipa de Tupchimbuchagores, now the Gawa de Chunchures, the Zadanga to Dipa de Mapangores, Meva Sokores, Ma, Numeso or Meva Jumbo Gores, Gawa Casa Dipa de Jumbo, the Niki Dipa de and the Jumbo Gores. Sankyawadi is in Mutiniana and Yamnache, Yanuba Charatangores, Diva Jumbo, or Dadandala, Tibetinis Shore, di Mama Chumbaina, and Anzugasa Kiwachima, Dunga Misepa, Nyavada, Tunishi Paki to Gures, is a di Nyawaki, and Andre Yudi Shagores, Dibadi. Just a Dima Jumbo Gores, Dichum Shabana, and Andre Gamma Diba, because the Dunga Misepa, the Yonga Chagmares, is a Diba de Jumbo Gores, such Danda Dismo, Diba Jumbo Gores, Diba de Pango Gores, such.
So looking at these two lines together, first, looking at the non-virtue is of great and overwhelming strength. So we understand that because of our habituation to non-virtue since beginningless time, we have a tremendous number of imprints on our continuum, and therefore, due to this habituation, they readily arise within us, and therefore, they are great and overwhelming. And as we accumulate further imprints, as well as what we already have on our continuum, they may well ripen into rebirth in the lower realms, where our suffering will be great and overwhelming. On the other hand, though, with the previous line, the virtue, or our aspiration for virtue, this is feeble. It sometimes comes, but it quickly goes. And if it, whilst arisen, if non-virtue ripens, because of its strength, it will overwhelm our virtuous intent. We need to now recognize this within ourselves. And to the extent we can recognize that, we will want to utilize this opportunity that we have, where we have attained the freedom from being reborn in the lower realms, utilize this opportunity now to purify previously accumulated non-virtue, and be sure to guard our mind so as not to accumulate further causes that will otherwise lead to rebirth in the lower realms. That's on one hand, and accompanying this is to ensure we strengthen our habituation to virtue, our aspiration to virtue. We strengthen this as well as guarding our mind from coming under the influence of non-virtuous imprints.
Di shula dang shul pa and the jig dondala carsungors and dicun denisior di mevas or di bangores, di bangores, bangores, signos of bangores, and mevane, di gun in the yore, just and di manzukoyama di mevas or di shula, shuk pa di bangores as more.
Verse is always written in very condensed form, hence the need for an explanation. So we see in the first line of the verse, non-virtues of great and overwhelming strength. What's implied, but not at all stated, is that, and therefore, we need to strive to abandon our accumulation of non-virtue.
And that you can spanguri lavidu, and divadi, divig 7 bacha, that Java Pambala, 동방이 또 베셔라 검제 빠나마도 아니 사번 바차다 제바디 방토요 말와 제 동방이 또 베셔라 검발했는데 방고거래.
How to do so? Well, the way to eliminate the very root of all our suffering is to cultivate the wisdom realizing emptiness. It's that wisdom that is able to purify completely all previously accumulated non-virtue.
안디네 다디 디갑수 동반이 또 베셔라 검네 디바디 방고거래 세디 다디 디고 시교 말에 동반이 또 베셔라 검 방고거래 디고 시야 송고 말에 될다.
Whilst that is the case, here in this context, the wisdom realizing emptiness is not the method that is being implied.
다델리아는 가는 매바 소고리에서 바좀 고고리에서도 대년 조비의 장수 셈민바 개상 관계 지윤의 미교르스. 제도다 장수 셈 마인 바디지 동의도 비시라고 시교 말다 장수 셈 마인 비기 개와 제 진바도 추름라서 받아 쇠발라서 개와 가는 주베네 대속이 아니 가소데 디파트 침부신도 메세바 시균도 두고 말해서 그래 시균도 두고 말해서 대년 조비의 장수 셈민바 조비의 장수 셈 마인바 개와 현 아니 진바다 추름다 쇠발라서 받아 전절라서 받아 되게 냐메 제베네 대속이 하나 저기 가소래 디바디기 마좀 두고 말해서 좀 두고 말해서 어디 소비의 장수 셈내 현 진바다 추림 쇠바 장수 셈 먹은 바지 진비의 냠내 저 추림 냠내 제베네 디바디파 좀 두고 말해서 그래 지산디 디비 소비의 장수 셈 민바 세도 소비의 셈 민바 아니 현가래 개와현 진바다 추림라서 받아 쇠발라서 받아 현차 취바다 차 제외지 고라고 왜 디바디 내게다 가진 제베기 개와 어디서 계시 개와 간에 사베네 대속이 안 디바디 좀 두고 말해서 니가
And look at the second and third line in the verse. Except for perfect bodhicitta, what other virtue could overcome and surpass it? So as I just mentioned, this verse then is not referring to the wisdom realizing emptiness, but is rather making the point, if one cultivates virtue through whether it's, for example, doing circumambulation or prostrations, or cultivating generosity, ethical restraint, patience, and so forth, if these are done without bodhicitta, they cannot lead to overcoming our non-virtue. Bodhicitta is indispensable. This needs to be cultivated.
다디네기 디바 톱치면 미세바디 좀 발라 좀 누그레는 저비 장수 셈 공부하네 셈디기바 셈디 공부 셈게바네 디기 좀 투그레 사지 시균은 투그레 식송거를 떠나라 장수 셈 저비 장수 셈 많이 바개와 현대기 시균은 투구 말에 라면도 다 저비 장수 셈 디기 시균은 투그레 식을 송거라다.
So what's explicitly been said, except for bodhicitta, none of the other forms of the accumulation of merit, such as practices of generosity or circumambulation, they will not lead to overcoming our non-virtue.
현장 디버트치 미세바 디방고그레스 좀고그레스 근데 간에 좀고그레스 내년 조비의 장주 셈 세대 다디가 조비의 장주 셈 조비의 장주 셈 공부할 때네 아니 그 바좀 고그레스 내년 조비의 장주 셈 조비의 장주 셈 공부할 때네 방고그레스 좀 고그레스 그러다.
Again, it's just repeating then the second line, except for perfect bodhicitta. So, no other practices within the accumulation of merit will suffice here. Bodhicitta must be generated in order to overcome non-virtue.
세상에 셈공고레스 장주셈 마공바제 민바 개화신 관계 개화신 관계 간에서 공부해나 디기 아니 장주셈 비시는 바나진 디바데 시기는 두 말에 사실 도시네 민바 시들 장주셈 공고레스 되는 소비 장주셈 공고레 장주셈 공부하는 시기는 두 그래서 민바를 장주셈 마공바제 개화신 간에서 공부해나 디기 시기는 두 말에 사실.
Again, whilst it's not explicitly stated, what is implied in the second line is that bodhicitta must be cultivated.
지나다 장주 심 공부하는 디버 덮친 아니 신신도니 미세바 잡보다 주보다 되니게 지기하나 초보디 디바디 아니 장주 심 공부에 시기는 투고래 사지 다디 투비 김장 가르스나 장주 심 사디 맞아 개와 덮친보 휴치레스 지난디 장주 심 사디 샘전 탐지기 된다래야 소소 지부 많이 봐 샘전 가시제 샘전 동다 가시 붐 가시 디 멤버 샘전 탐제 하다 미당 안지게 이다다 둔로다 냐와로 소파다 안지게 심전 탐절에도 상마기베 전주선바 연되다 라자처 체다 탐지게 된다래야 안디 참지게 패야다 제수 패야게 치도 제수 타지게 된다라 나산지고 봐 토벌지고 선비게 토벌지에게 삼로지 인자 아니디 삼로게와 마스 톱침부 슈시레스 지상 개와 톱침부에서 니기 안시기는 두고 그래야지
How is it then that a bodhicitta can overcome non-virtue that is of great and overwhelming strength? What is so special about bodhicitta amongst all the practices that fall within the accumulation of merit? If bodhicitta is absent, one is engaging virtuous practices for one's own betterment, or perhaps for a group that one cares for, such as one's family and loved ones. Or perhaps one's even got a particularly powerful motivation and doing so for immeasurable beings. But bodhicitta, and bodhicitta alone, has each and every sentient being without exception as its object. Therefore, because of the vastness of this mind of bodhicitta, the strength of the virtue that bodhicitta leads to being accumulated is unparalleled. And therefore, bodhicitta is of extreme power.
되니기다 장주심 공부이나 ngar sashi diva tamchema jongres ane ngar sashi diva ba jombare da dene chinjene ya diva pa masaye diva yoyage chase gewa jugore diva jugores chese diva gago diva sagmares saba nyema saba diva jom saba sagyo mareje chese ngonsa diva ane chike jang dene chinje diva ju sachi.
When bodhicitta is cultivated and one has this motivation to be of benefit to all, for the reason I've just presented, our previous accumulation of misdeeds, these are purified. But moreover, it also prevents us from accumulating further misdeeds. And therefore, not only does bodhicitta serve to overwhelm previously accumulated non-virtue, but it also brings to an end the accumulation of further non-virtue. So this is another reason why bodhicitta is supremely powerful in overcoming non-virtue, both past accumulations as well as preventing future accumulations.
안디네 라주기 녀모로시네 녀모 마좀 고레스 녀모 좀 고레 안에 개월 춘춘 집이네 자주샘 냠는제데 집이 이게 자주샘 기톱기 개월 춘춘이네 빠식 누버침보 산교고모도 귤 귤투고 그래서 지난 개월 춘춘인데 뭐 공부도 따야 랑기 녀모데 게마 좀야 안도시 자주샘 공부하나 안도시 용고 그래서.
So therefore, bodhicitta does not only overwhelm previous accumulations of non-virtue, but due to the presence of bodhicitta, it prevents the mere arisal of afflictions, and thereby one doesn't accumulate further non-virtue. This here is why bodhicitta is so powerful for purification. In addition, when bodhicitta is present, any virtuous mind that is, or rather every virtuous mind that is generated, conjoined with bodhicitta, is so much more powerful than it otherwise would be. So therefore, a virtuous deed, conjoined with bodhicitta, is of immeasurable more strength and value than the same virtuous deed without being conjoined to bodhicitta.
지난다지 전주생이 편연시고래. 지난 전주생이 편연 가르쳐서 뉴바르도 편연 가르쳐서 디바 덮침부 신도 미세바치네 전주섬 공부에는 니게 맞좀 거래스. 지난 전주생이 연된된 시오래스. 데니게 디바 덮침부 좀 투야긴 연대요래스. 안다 냐마게 디바 딘좀 투바는 다 친지에 마야게 개와 디바 용하디 차상 까고 그래서 전주섬에 데니게 뉴바요래스. 랑기 유용몽바데게 마 주점야게 뉴바요래스. 아니 개와 춘춘지네 바치 뉴바 차라단 빼려 산지고마도 유르투야게 뉴바요래스. 지산다 전주섬이야 연된되는 시오래스 그러다. 지산 디바 딩아사비 디바 마 점야 친지 디바 용하에 파 고가야 제야 랑기 뉴모마 점야 데네 개와 춘춘이네 데서야 근데 산지고마도 유르 뉴바 공페도 빼야 전주심 연된 계획이 되는 시절에 나도 전에 전주심 연된 시고 연된 된 거를 될래야.
As I mentioned earlier, here we come in this 3-line verse to the presentation or the start of the presentation on the benefits of bodhicitta. So we see first in relation to overcoming misdeeds, as well as not just average run-of-the-mill non-virtuous imprints on our continuum, but even those of incredible power, those that would lead to horrendous ripening results. Bodhicitta overwhelms them, overcomes them. First benefit. Second benefit is that with bodhicitta present, afflictions are suppressed. They cannot ripen, which means one will not accumulate further non-virtue. One will not accumulate non-virtue newly. So past misdeeds are overwhelmed, and new non-virtue is blocked. That's the second benefit. And then the third is that with the conjoined with any virtuous mind conjoined with bodhicitta is of immeasurable more strength. And therefore, that same virtuous mind, because it is now conjoined with bodhicitta, leads to the accumulation of far more merit than otherwise, incomparably more merit than otherwise. So these then are 3 key benefits that are ascribed to bodhicitta.
지나다 나사비 디바 차상 좀 다데 디바 사도 사마주바 바고고기 연사 개바 연사 당한즈냐마 디바 녀와랑 안소다 녀와 찬야다 장냐사다 든로다 이다기 둥아 빠도 매번 용고에기 랭아바 사여바이네 대 전주심 공백이 레디 녀모바 레디 파 뉴벌마 좀 차연사 데니기 녀와를 깨먹어야 안소를 깨먹어야 든로를 그래서 이다 깨어 든로 깨먹어야 데니기 안둥아 빠도 매번 용 먹어야지 데레타 용고 데레티 둥아들레 타르지 용 먹어야지 수시에 말해서 전주심 공부를 지고래 제단 전주심 공부에 데니기 둥아 용고야 되게 용 먹어야기 아니 지게 전주심이야 니버 요래스 인데디디 요래스 계획이 망부 사요로 많이 만네 제가 디방냐와 계획을 데니게 지둥아냐와 천예다 장예다 이다다 데니게 진 둥아바도 매번 용고에게 레사요르데 제네 전주심기 공부할 때네 레데반 반 뉴메 좀 셔도 아니 디기 제부도 주야메가서요 둥아도 용 먹어서요 봐 제가 데니게 둥아 용 먹어야기 수차야디 전주심기 연대 전주심다 데니 용고래 제가 전주심도 연대 데니 시어래 사실.
On our continuum, we have this wide array of imprints, many of which have this are of sufficient strength that if they ripen at the time of death, can propel us to be reborn as an animal or as a spirit or even in the hell realms. But bodhicitta can bring an end to the possibility of such a rebirth. So despite having uncountable imprints that can realistically lead to our rebirth in the lower realms, bodhicitta can bring an end to such a rebirth, close the door to such a possibility.
데니 인자도 신에 난 지금 연대디게 대제도 송여도 단다가 가르송고라스네 전주심 연대데니 요래 제가 데니 인자 디버pon야기 점야기 뉴바야 전주심을 요래 데네게 랑기 안 직바 마사에게 야게 디바 마사바 마사에 뉴바디야 안 가야데 뉴바데 전주심 요래 아주 녀모보 총다에 뉴바디야 전주심 요래 아주 코와다 둥에 예외 둥하다 창예다 장예다 이다 둥아 녀모야 돼 데네게 뉴바디야 전주심 요래 데네자 전주심데 베 마시기 데네게 뉴바 첨보 쉬우진다 땅 아주로 거야디 지사 데네게 둥하데 고고 말에 둥하 얘기에 유려 먹어와서 디 고구매 바에는 데네게 전주심 뉴바 유바자 전주심의 공부를 신지 민지 전주심 공부를 해서 다다나라서 조다 전주심의 편연시는데 딩어도 냠술 연구를 해서 숨어다.
Benefits of bodhicitta are being presented here so that we can hear them, commit them to memory, and reflect on them again and again in order to generate the determination, I must generate bodhicitta. And why must I generate bodhicitta? Because I know on my continuum are imprints accumulated in this and past lives that if allowed to fester there, to grow in strength perhaps, if they ripen at the time of death, I will be born in the suffering lower realms. I don't want to suffer. Bodhicitta will will overwhelm, will dominate past negative imprints and prevent them from ripening into further suffering experiences. So therefore, the generation of bodhicitta will prevent me from suffering, as well as closing the door to rebirth in the lower realms. Moreover, it will prevent the arisal of the afflictions, suppress the afflictions. Therefore, I won't be tormented by the afflictions. And thereby, it will prevent the accumulation of further non-virtue. So here are a wide array of benefits on the side of our non-virtue. It overwhelms and prevents the ripening of past misdeeds, and therefore prevents us from suffering, closes the door to the lower realms, overwhelms our afflictions so they don't ripen, and therefore we don't suffer now, and therefore we don't accumulate further causes for suffering in the future, further non-virtue. All of that is overcome by the generation of bodhicitta, as well as the accumulation of immeasurable stores of virtue.
디켜는 판도 침보용 고래 제자 연된데시 키셔된데시어레세데 잘라니 키셔지어도 저게 어디 키셔된지는 디디 말 고구선 비경한절에 디 녀에게 되녀를 뒷발해야다 디니 디 녀에게 탑lâm 제네 된 징녀에게 녀 투부로와 원디 나신시로 왔다 저게 디니게 장주심고만 장주심이야 연된데니 키셔된데시어다도 시어레세데 키셔송인데 donda라 닝보들 냠는 제고래 디공고선 심 공고래 냠는 제고래 세송고로 와다 연대 디네 여바자디 마서 고해디레스 공고해 공고래 세
If you recall times in your life when you were obsessed with getting something, the reason for that is you had come to really value something. I have to have it. If I have that, my life will be transformed. And you will make sacrifices to ensure that you obtain it. So that is the same technique that we need to apply here. Reflecting repeatedly over a sustained period on the benefits of cultivating bodhicitta will lead to the generation of bodhicitta in our own continuum in this very life, being our life's mission. This will be our foremost objective. And very quickly then, through reflecting on the benefits of bodhicitta again and again and again, we will ensure that everything we say, do, or think is geared towards cultivating the causes so that we can become counted amongst the Bodhisattvas. This is the purpose of coming to hear and then reflect again and again on the benefits of bodhicitta.
아주네 삼노다 제바로시 제바이나 이 전시 셈간의 팽이도 전시 셈 공부이나 간에 연구도 셈비게다 디나지 소마다지 다다리기도 레미도 셈뱅아주 제바라 제바이네 셈전 담제 셈전이 동아시아다 셈절의 디규주에 현재 판도지에게 된다는 게 판도지에 탑람데 상계레시 대장의 상조고 토벌지 세베 삼노 데니스타이도 현 셈전의 펜비치도 내 상계고 토벌지 세베 삼다도 현리아 뉴비게 자와리아세 자와 지금 말봐다 현리아 펜비체도 현리아 판도 중에 현기 동아시아나 현리아 펜비체도 이 상조고 토바지 세상의 상조고 톱네 요거 심절에 펜바 뭐소라는 대기 세지 삼로 den시 땅에도 현리아 펜비체도 제반자 현리아 뉴바 지금 말봐 현리아 체외 삼바다 현리아 뉴비게 내가 리고 말봐 세상 전주 셈고만 나디 용구여바디 간쪽에 세부하고 두야 책으로 와 디네 자당 저기 전시 셈 공부이나 셈자 탐주 상조고방 토바지인 세베 셈디 여바 상조고방 토비치 지인 세베 셈디 뺑아즈가제 슈체나 상조고방 토비기 자와라 냠렌치엘이야 베주 슈체지기로와 지상은 저 개와마 루투고로와 지상 상조고방 줘야래야 타녀 주고로와 지상 현리야 네바 마체바다 랑기리아 가르치나 개회 고숨기 룽아 유스미 요건에 가르쳐본 개회 자와 냐냐로시 철두고로 봐 저도 소수기 디바 사바사고 말아 진짜 니네 삼다베는 디나지 송바나시 뭐냐라 마도 제바제 삼다베는 전주심이 파윤디니 도와 선배 삼다니 도시네 마 제바체네 로라바라바로 좀 자고 두야 자고로 봐
So what's required of all of us here is to reflect, contemplate again and again on the benefits of bodhicitta. Learn them, and not merely recite them as a list, but think, is this really the case? If I were to generate bodhicitta, what would my life be like? What impact would the presence of bodhicitta have on me? What would it like to have my virtuous minds conjoined with bodhicitta? What would it be like to have my afflictions suppressed because I've generated bodhicitta? In this way, reflecting on the benefits, one will give rise to the wish to generate bodhicitta. If you think about it, if one is a bodhisattva, has the wish to become a Buddha so as to be the most skilled of guides, to be able to lead beings from the suffering realms that they find themselves trapped in now to a state of lasting happiness. If that is one's guiding light, one will have a strength of mind. Problems will never overwhelm one. One will rather see them or approach them as opportunities to benefit. Moreover, one will seek out opportunities where one can directly engage with others, ease their suffering. And of course, any thought to bring harm to others, any a spontaneous response of aggression or deceit just could not arise because of the power of bodhicitta, our determination to become a Buddha for the sake of others. Reflecting on this again and again will have a transformative impact on one, because where there is something that we truly value, that we hold dear to us, something that we are determined to attain, we will strive single-pointedly. No obstacle will be able to push us away from achieving our goal. And this is what we need to do here. Give rise to a genuine determination to be counted amongst the Buddha's children, to become a bodhisattva, and to be a being of great benefit in this world.
가르삼당으로서는 제가 디네인자다 개전슈심기 연된디 편연 디네스도아 선비게 디네 송바나신 소수의 삼라다 디네게다 편연디 두선비 삼는 다제 계시시와래 쳔비기 당안줄이야 배안줄 제위 왕기 안줄 동아 직도체 산지고바 토비치도 먼저야 두스체네 갈롭 나와레 랍자로스네 두스탐가 나와레 삼제 아니 계시시와래 쳔비게 대바다 아니 그디 제수 템베토네 아니네 데니게 직장쇼sem데 공기야 선비게도 듬바제야다 안데니게 내가 저기 강 토두기 안에sem자 탐지기도나 산유고방 토벌쇼 세베 삼로디 다 토벌 지긴 세베 삼로디 고미야디 야네 야로 고미야디 안쪽에다 디기 수 식디기 당한도 다 인보된 안쪽에 염설련 거데 디차고 거다.
The way that we all need to train here is to do the reflections as I've briefly mentioned, recalling the benefits, seeing how it would be to have them in one's mind, generate this determination to become a bodhisattva oneself. And then, so this I've already mentioned, and now just to add, then express this aspiration, turn to one's spiritual teachers, the Buddhas, and make the request, bless me, guide me, so that all obstacles I encounter, I deal with them skillfully. That I deal with them in the same way that Shantideva would deal with them. That I develop a mind that's as pure and virtuous as he generated. And may I, through the influence of this mind, actually become a bodhisattva in this very life. So this is the way to cultivate bodhicitta.
나다 디네 전주섬 공부에 디네 디버데 시긴 응그리 세스물 마다 사본네 제바 방그리 세스고 말다 진짜 사본네 제바 전주섬 공부에 디비에 사본 바차다 제바 방그리 베서네다 방고 말에 이네다 시긴 응그리 세지 시긴 시디 디바다 디비 사본디 뉴바메 와서셔고 뉴바메 봐 뉴메스고 그래서 제가 뉴바메 거 개와치 망앙선 계획이 뉴바메 봐 아니 동아 디네 제부 주위에 뉴밤에 봤어요. 그래서 제가 좀 세 뉴메스 샤레서.
Bodhicitta, what it does not do is eliminate the seeds and the imprints or the seeds and the stains of the afflictions. What it does do, though, is overcome and surpass it. Or to use other synonyms, bodhicitta outshines all other virtues and overcomes all non-virtue. So this is the meaning of overcoming and surpassing. Surpasses all other good qualities within the accumulation of merit and overcomes the non-virtue, the afflictions on our continuum. What it doesn't do is destroy the seeds and stains or imprints of the afflictions, but it does prevent their arisal or dominance within us. So this then is the meaning of overcoming and surpassing all other virtuous minds within the accumulation of merit, as well as overcoming the afflictions on our continuum.
캬바 도도 침부 최변의 디담이 되면은 캬바디기 수 정보딩아 저 캬기로 와 캬네 강아를 지기로 와 지사다 니마 뼈 차다 제 니마 소위 당샤가 당교변에 디담이 되되네 캬기 말와 이네 캬바도 요르데 캬바기 뉴베디 뉴메스샤다 이네 니미기 저에디 슉체보 디슉체라제 안데디 뉴메스에지네 캬바기 장모디 뉴버디 안줄래 뉘 마수바디 니메 외교 수요래 다 자와 잡는 데나 제배직 장모 매바지 니메 차딩 되시 데스기우라 용으로와 지사되네서 디 차과데 예데르데 이네 코이 안줄 뇌기디 뉴버디 요르데 이네 니메 세워 외디 뉴버 슉체라죠 그 니메스에샤로와 제가 니메스에죠 제가 그 뉴버요 말 뇌기 요르 뇌기 뉴버 매바래 지나 디나시 디바데 사본다 디비 바차도 요래데 전주심 공부 개비 똑기고 뉴미스에샤래 제가 그 디부 동안용과의 디부 미에메버스에샤로와 제가 디시윤에서 디스고 되네시
So understand then how bodhicitta overcomes a non-virtue on our continuum is if we imagine ourselves seated next to a very large chunk of ice. So if you're sitting right next to a large chunk of ice, that's going to be pretty cold on us. But if the sun is shining down and it's actually a lovely warm day, we may get a little wet from the melting ice, but we're not going to be cold because we'll be warmed by the sunlight. So therefore, what we see is the sunlight prevents this block of ice from harming us. So in a similar manner, bodhicitta on our continuum, whilst it doesn't cut the afflictions at their root, that doesn't destroy the seeds and the stains of the afflictions, it does overcome the potency of the non-virtue on our continuum, the potential that it would otherwise have to harm us, to ripen and harm us. That potential, that is overcome by bodhicitta.
Adine kawa dumar rabgong zeba yi tuwa namge dini pemba sik dini tseme kiwi tso namge desho delan yidu tobar ches.
The seventh verse. Having reflected deeply for many eons, the mighty Buddhas have seen this alone to be of benefit, for through it immeasurable masses of beings will with ease attain the happiness of supreme bliss.
Na kawa dumar rabgong zeba yi sedu ta chanchu sangye namge ane chike kawa pawdo meba ane kawa chikma meba kawa mangbo rinlia ane semjen liya penbege dunga semjen liya penba chi kanis dhubu gudu semjen dunga de kanis se gudu sene ane du sene chike gongba sheba re se ore chizan semjen liya penba chi kanis dhubu semjen dunga de kanis se gudu sebe kawa dunga mangbo liya du sene jeba che ne dinigi an jeba che ne semjen ki dunga se ya na digi dhubiya liya ane chale nangwa re se 제바레 대한 가와 두마 랍세드 대한의 지게 가와 두마 찍리야 랍세드 망보세거다 세상 차르지기마 가와 두마 공바레 디나 가와 레레라야 야네 빠도메바 뒤 빠도메바 두스체네 야네 야도 두스체네 맨신지 두스체네 공바레 세드 셈쟁이 된다라 삼나 땅와레세 예수슈나 공바 제바레세 시스마주나 semje danda lusina sam taware se pember semje pember dru zebare se.
First line, having reflected deeply for many eons. So this shows how Buddhas would have reflected again and again, how can I benefit beings? So this is the concern of Buddhas. How can beings be benefited? They would have reflected on this, or Buddhas do reflect on this continuously. So we see several adjectives here, many eons. So this is to show age upon age upon age, Buddhas have been reflecting, how can I alleviate the suffering of beings? How can I be of benefit to beings? And not only have they been reflecting in this way over an extensive period, but these thoughts haven't been just occasional, but they have been deep. Thinking deeply, how can we benefit beings? How can we alleviate the suffering of beings?
Jilada semjele panya di kanis dunga se di kanis se gudu semjele tingi dewa de dunga zene maya gi dewa di skani chugu gudu sembege samla da pha jeba je de ane ji semjele gabriel ya khonzula khala je je dulo je bege pemba di khonzo tingi dewa di chu gu de sene dian tu go mare ane semje kanga the de gabriel menjue je je ane khonzo dinigi ne na se we ne semji gi dunga de se tugo sen dia tugo mare 지다다 semjengi 띵기 대화 토비알이야 띵기 대화 토요 유사오 그래지 유사오 그래서 다 유디 간사오 그래람나 유디다 이제 진바도 수련도 저거 준비 삼대냐면 계획주 개화주야 되다 디기 주역이 유디 개화사고 개화주고 그래서 다 dunga데 자오기네 매봐서야 돼 간소를 sen dun가 연유 내가 녀모바데 매봐서 그래서 제산디 레다 녀모 매버 쇠발라 아니 다메버도 베셰랍콤 장주에 심기 심비에 토네 진소 진바도 주는 쇠발라 소백이 냠렌제 아니 동방인도 베셰랍콤 디콤 냠렌 제발라 때네 아니 동아 띵예 동아제 자와니 매버 빠야다 아니 디기 띵이 줍투야디 데니스 용구라마도 셰 탑람 가야요 말레스 탑시요 말레스 띵이 되어 주야다 띵이 동아 세야디 동아 규단 제바 주야디 데니기 토네 냠는 맞아봐 있나? 아니디 아니 젠다 탑시 내가 되기 주야 돼 내가 떠서 강아 세야지 주 용들을 때 띵기 되어 주야다 띵기 동아 바샤다 서번 바샤다 저 방토에 용 말해서
When the Buddhas are thinking, how can we eliminate the suffering of beings? How can we guide them so that they attain lasting happiness? Well, if they think of engaging in the usual expressions to help others, such as giving food to the hungry, clothing to those who need it, giving medicine to those who are ill, well, these will all help and should be done, but none of them will lead to the attainment of lasting happiness. For lasting happiness to be attained, the Buddhas know they need to guide beings to cultivate the causes that will lead to lasting happiness. Causes such as generating a generous outlook, generating a mind of ethical restraint, a mind of patience. These are the causes for happiness. And accompanying this, the causes that will lead to suffering, contaminated karma and afflictions, these need to be eliminated. And how so? Beings need to be guided in how to cultivate the wisdom that realizes emptiness. And it's through these two approaches beings can be guided to develop their own minds to attain a state of lasting happiness, a state that is never punctuated by even a moment of pain or misery. So therefore, the Buddhas know that to help beings, they need to guide them to cultivate the causes for happiness, cultivate the mind such as generosity, ethics, patience, and so forth, as well as cultivate the cause that will lead to the eradication of suffering completely, the wisdom realizing emptiness. These two together will guide beings to attain the state themselves of lasting, stable happiness.
Dine zada semjingi dunga tingi dunga se dan tingi dewa tobyala ya anjik pa shenle ya shengi pando dubyala deso lamde yi konzule den ko res den je an konzule nyamso lenju je an tingi dunga le toya dang an tingi dewa tobya di tar sanji ko hwan le ko ya di denis ko res 제가 데니기 템발라 다 소수기 땡신고 거랬다데 땡 감다 매바다 참비기 뒤기디 띵고를 간지 때는 야가도 차상지 그 때야 돼서 아니 땡기 냠링이 림바데 소수기 냠용고 그래서 신고 그래서 냠용고 그래서 아니 대신 소수기 냠용 여바 맞아 머니 땡색이 두제 될이야 콜로 판도 거디 뒤기디 띵고도 간지 띵고도 습이 차상 감다 매바다 차상 캠바지고 그래서 데니기 켄제 안된바이나 판도 침부 제도 그랬어. 제가 데니기 따다 하 먹어봐야나 소수기 신구도스는 그 시에는 편이 펭귄나 뇌기나 하고요 말와 진짜 따다 용 말. 제가 감나 뭐봐도 튀임바 뒤다 내가 간에실은 차상하지 캠바지고 그랬어. 니 캠바디 전주선 발라야 전주선 바디 계시는 봐도 몇바 지고할 때 이내야 디캠바디 레균제 차신한 차와 뒤다 내가 차신한 차와 되게 아니 상계 마도 캠바요 마 kintu마 진짜 전주신 비신은 봐도 몇바 지고할 때 상계 나신 제투야요 말에 그래서 차사 강아 탐지 세제 차사 제투의 뉴바디다 술르네 상계 레샤스 상계 마도 민두스 지자다 현준 데니기 주에게 탑럼 약쇼 상계를 상계를 민 대인상 상계고반 마tum다 탑민도 상계고만 톱고도 셈베게 다 전주심 끼고 그래 끼고 그래 전주심데 데니스 끼고 그래 제대로
The objective of the holy beings is to guide beings to the state of lasting happiness, where they can help them attain temporary happiness. This is well and good. But their real desire is to guide beings to attain a state of lasting, stable happiness, a happiness that's never punctuated by even a moment of suffering. Therefore, the focus of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is to guide beings to attain their own enlightenment. But in order to be able to guide a being to enlightenment, a practitioner has to be developed themselves. Merely studying well and knowing in theory, even if in great detail, is insufficient. The theory needs to have been put into practice and cultivated to the points of realization within one's own continuum. Then one can guide others based on one's own experience, not merely based on theory. And this is imperative because in order to transform one's mind completely, beings will encounter many obstacles, have many challenges. Where their guide has experience of overcoming those challenges, they can skillfully guide their student to overcome them themselves. Whereas if the knowledge is merely theoretical, their guide can give an educated guess. That's all. So therefore, to really be able to help beings, the practitioner has to have transformed their mind already. And to the extent that their mind is transformed, they can guide beings ever more precisely in accordance with their own personalities, their own individual karmic predispositions. And thereby, as beings encounter their own a variety of obstacles and hindrances, their guide can skillfully help them work around those obstacles and overcome them. And the guide that can do that best, even better than the great Bodhisattvas, are the Buddhas. This desire to become a Buddha so as to benefit others is what needs to be cultivated within, so that one can sincerely strive to become the best of guides and have the greatest impact on others.
제자 semjan tamshi sanjo kopa toba shu sebeki janju semdi gomche janju sem gombe toane ini jimbato tsurin suebala sobada dongi tube shero gomna ane sanjo kopa top tugure mato janju semdi mena jimbato tsurin dame boto be shera katse gombe na ye jajumbe kopa zamato ane sanjo kopa top tugmido as 제자서 sanjo kopa toyala dambo khone semjan tamshi sanjo kopa toba shu sebe janju semno gomgudu sawa janju sem gomgudu asbe 제가 디니기 고와디 루치네 하고 거래제des.
So therefore it becomes known to one that it's indispensable to become a Buddha, because it's only by becoming a Buddha that one can help all beings without exception. And how to do so? One generates bodhicitta. Because when bodhicitta is generated, then all one's virtuous activities, for example, ethical restraint, when conjoined with bodhicitta, becomes a cause to become a Buddha. Without bodhicitta, the same mind of ethics will only become a cause for one's own individual liberation, to become an arhat. But conjoined with bodhicitta, that same mind of ethics becomes a cause to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings.
Dine gedu sene samdayde dine tuwan namgi dini panpar sikde. Chesa dine gedu sene samdan tuba sangyo jumden dela sope sangye namgi tuwa namgi se tuwa tuba sangyo jumden dela sope sangye chasa namgi ane garisi bare sene janshu semde da semje tam je dunga seya da janshu sem gogudo semje tam je digi juye da janshu sem gomgo sangye tam je ge ans kasa semje tam je donda la sangye goba toba le janshu sem gomgo chesa semje le pembige 내가 되어 digi juye 내가 당 타도 le pembe de janju simre sha je sanji goban thoba de la janju simre sha rani gi semjing ye duen pad me ba che ba de janju simre sha je da janju semdi semjing gi pande juya da semji di gi juya da duma se ya le ya pemba bashik di da zawa janju simde sanji goban thoba la so ba cha san zawa de janju sim ding ye sha se be ge da tuwa nam gi janju simdi yin ba de 캔바레스 제산 디레스 다 디냠네 제고레스 디 캔바레 캔네 당아 줄래 장슈스 냠네 제고레 세상 얘기 막 도시네 중고레 제레다 도안 남기 한 디니 펜바시 세데 다 디니 세 장슈스 디니 세고로다 펜바 샘자 탐제레 펜제 주비에게 안 디레샤 동아 자와세데 자와데 디레스 산조 고방 토에게 자와데 디레샤 라니기 현대 현래 펜바 주비에게 자와 디레샤 세베다 장슈스 디니 세바레스.
Looking at the first two lines, having reflected deeply for many eons, the mighty Buddhas have seen this alone to be of benefit. The Buddhas then, having reflected deeply over a great expanse of time, have seen that it is bodhicitta that beings need to generate. Because through the Buddhas guiding sentient beings to cultivate bodhicitta in their own continuum, there is incredible benefit to those beings when they become bodhisattvas as well. Through the generation of bodhicitta, sentient beings, as we heard before, their afflictions will be suppressed. They will not be accumulating further non-virtue, so they are not suffering now, nor will they in the future. Moreover, their accumulation of virtue is intense. Therefore, they will make rapid spiritual progress. So therefore, the mighty Buddhas have seen that this alone, in other words, bodhicitta, is what sentient beings need to cultivate, and it will benefit them both in the short term as well as ultimately in the long term with the attainment of enlightenment. Therefore, the very root or basis that Buddhas need to guide sentient beings to develop is bodhicitta.
That depends on the 지난 디니 체면 기회 초남기 대쇼 대라니도 토버지스 지난다 기어 체면비기 기어왔으네 샘제 탐제 체면비기 기회 초남기 뇌가서 대화 띵기 대화 뒤로로 봐 지난 대화 촉 상여고방 토바에 대한 아니 대라되는 장주심 공부할때 토보래 제 기회 초 샘제 탐제게 상여고와 대화 촉 상여고방 토야 되라 네 장주심 공부할때 토보래스 근데 장주심 공부에나 대라니도 토버지 시도 안 대화 상교 공부 토야디 안 지게 교부 토토를 해야지 대라니도 토버지 시도 디니게 장주심 공부할 때네 안 상교 계획 자와디 영어 공부도 폐지네 상교 공부 대라도 토토를 해야지 교부다 레라고서 레라와다지 다 대라세디
For through it, immeasurable masses of beings will with ease attain the happiness of supreme bliss. The Buddhas, having reflected deeply and have come to see that bodhicitta alone is what will aid sentient beings both in the immediate term as well as ultimately by leading them to attain their own enlightenment. This is what they focus on, guiding sentient beings to cultivate it. Because, third and fourth line, for through it, through bodhicitta, immeasurable masses of beings, so beings beyond counting, will with ease and quickly attain the happiness of Buddhahood. So in other words, Buddhas know that the very best way they can help beings is to guide them to develop bodhicitta themselves, because they will then quickly and easily attain their own enlightenment, the state of greatest bliss, supreme bliss.
다디디기 전주쌤디 대시 기위게 탐지의 판결주비기에다 펜바바시 주의하게 전주쌤 레세데 인비 김세가를라나 전주쌤 공부이나 아니 대화 초토토 그래 대야 대라도 토토 그래 해야지 이인상과 펜데 바시 세디 펜바바시 주의하게 전주쌤 디레 인비 김세 디로시도 수무도 하다.
The reason then that Buddhas recognize that the very, very best way they can benefit beings is to guide them to cultivate bodhicitta. And the reason for why bodhicitta is best is because when bodhicitta has been generated, those sentient beings will quickly and easily attain their own enlightenment.
델라도 토발치기리 세디 다 산지고바 토비치도 장주쌤 지금 마공바체 안 산지고바 토비치도 소설에 띵해제 가제 윤리부 공부에네 다도 가고 싶으려 해서 가제 때에 윤리부 공부해서다 되네게 안돼야 저게 봐지 띵해진 공전배 직다 갈래 시오자래 안되네게 안데 저게 자신심 토야 돼 갈래 가고 그래서 지사 자신심 마공바이나 산지고바 토야 돼 갈래 가고 그래서 지사당아 저게 다음에 발라서 봐다 진발라서 수림 냠렌지의 계획까지 두바이네 자신심 마고바이나 아니 저게 탈배고 바로 더 그래서 안디야 안데 되게 산조고 바로 발배 윤유고 그래서 데 길이 토야 말이야. 제가 당번에 그런 장주쌤 냠는 제샤바이나 근데 디기 에너지 균능부 마고와 제시심 고마 제산주 고발라 타냐와 안에까지 뭐 잡모 깔래모 오직 지게 잡모가지 ndi던달라 제시심 토야 될 라와레 세지 delado tuguri 세지 또 숨거와.
To understand that this term in the fourth line, with ease, with bodhicitta generated, all virtuous minds will easily and quickly lead to the attainment of Buddhahood. If bodhicitta is absent, those virtuous minds will take so much longer to lead to the attainment of enlightenment because the practitioner will have to go via the route of individual liberation. So with bodhicitta generated, then minds such as ethical restraint, wisdom realizing emptiness, these become the causes for enlightenment, for Buddhahood itself. Whereas if bodhicitta is absent, those same trainings do not become causes for enlightenment. And therefore, the attainment of enlightenment is greatly delayed. But with bodhicitta present, it will be quickly and easily attained.
지난다 장주쌤이 키제 연대 니니쇼레스 고라다 키제 순고르와 지난 장주쌤 공바이나 장주쌤 디기 산지고 뭐 토에 톱토에 돼 장주쌤이 공바레네 데라 톱토고레스 시행이 동화세야다 디기 투에 돼 장주쌤 공바레네 톱토고레스 지난다 장주쌤 마공바이나 아니 산지고 뭐 톱토고 말해 산지고 뭐 톱모드나 쌤지게 돼 근데 지게 지다와신도 근데 지게 뒤다 남바군의 제도에 깔려가고 최고래. 지난 진짜 심지에 뒤엔 뒤다 남바군의 제제 심지야 펜버주 심전 함제 야 탈바다 상조고화 역고야기 펜버주에 대한 장주심에 되는 용고래. 자 라니기 뒤다 남바군의 현래 펜버주에 대한 장주심 공부된 이거래. 지난 장주심 공부 있나? 안지 상조고화 토에 대한 요거 톱투고래. 아니 지게 신 깔려 산다나 신 깔려 잡모 아니 깔려도 충화지 제 용고래. 전주 상주고방 토발라 깔려 중화진 접투그래. 지난 전주심기 계셔다 연된 데니시오레스. 지난 데니에자 도시네 전주심기 계셔다 연된디게 도승고로 되는 요레스지.
Summarized in the seventh verse, the Buddhas have come to recognize that to benefit sentient beings, the very best thing they can do is to guide them to generate bodhicitta themselves. Because when the suffering sentient being they are guiding, they are successful in guiding them to generate bodhicitta, their own happiness is ensured, as well, of course, their own freedom from suffering. But not only that, so too for countless other beings, immeasurable masses of beings. So in this way, the Buddhas will help this suffering being through the generation of bodhicitta in their continuum, as well as via them, countless masses of beings as well. Whereas, if a being is benefited, but bodhicitta is not generated, so minds such as ethical restraint and wisdom realizing emptiness and so forth are generated, that individual being will benefit. Through them, some others will certainly be benefited, but not immeasurable masses of beings. So therefore, to help each being on a temporary basis, as well as an ultimate basis, a long-term basis, the generation of bodhicitta is the very best method to be of benefit to others. This is what the Buddhas have come to recognize.
아니네 자도 난닝보데다 가르송고라세네 저기 전주심이 키주된데 송다 되네게 키주된데 쇼바자 저기 산지고마 토고 상가저 띵이 대화 토고 대장아 저 대자 되네게 도와 심비 키주되네게 삼다 되네 삼다네 되네게 전주심 마kum데 탑면도 대장의 전주심 공기 셈배당한 저 전주심 공미하기 dimbakiada jesim komboade yaneado kombiade ngazo da diringi ngazo lobsen tele dina ngazo ge sosu ngazo yamne cheadi on duchine samdang goreseroda.
Summarized in both verses, we've looked tonight then at benefits of bodhicitta. So I encourage you to reflect on these again and again and again. Keep these present in your mind, not just in seated meditation, but at all times, so as to generate a deep and sincere determination that this is the life. This is the life. I will become a bodhisattva. I can develop bodhicitta. It is not beyond me. I have a precious human rebirth. And I can, in this way, attain the state of lasting happiness, but not only for myself, I can guide all others as well. I must become a bodhisattva. I must develop bodhicitta for all the reasons laid out in these two verses.
Semjen tham je dewa dewa da dunga mi dewa rang na shi jibe jiga ya sembege jigsam dine zada ni semjen tham je dewa de tempa sho semba da semjen tham je dunga da chawa sho sembege dine sam da ne da semjen je dewa de tempa de ya ni diring da jige ni de chue che ya ko ga yo ba dine ge nyamne je ko ga phan do che ko ga yu de ga bla rang le jin che bi semjen de ge le phan de ji dunga se ya da de yu du ye ge phan de ji ni ji gi phan ba du ya sambe samne ta dine ta se che le 다 되게 판별주야라 메사지고 마토네 탑메도 디엔장에 semjen 탐지기 된다리아 동아세야다 디규주야리아가 산요고 토고도 인사 semjen 탐지기 된다 산요고 토버쇼 sembe 삼로디 다 두스네 디 삼로디 가서 야네 양도 당제 아주 상마 안디네기 토리아 지게 제화야데 디링이 달롭센디 가서 랍잘 마송아 주기 Lobsang Dorje 소수기 냠렌지야데 삼동거야데 어두시네 레도아 된자가 차상기다 지게 dinne hurda padare chi kogor bada.
The advice from Shantideva here to all of us is, you, just like each and every sentient being, want to experience happiness, wants to be freed of pain and misery. Recognize this truth. Generate then the wish. May all sentient beings, myself and others, abide in lasting happiness. That's the mind of love. May myself and all sentient beings be freed of pain and suffering. Generate in this way compassion. And then remind ourselves of how truly fortunate we are to have not just merely attained a human rebirth, but a precious human rebirth. And we have met the Dharma, and amongst all forms of the Dharma, the supreme Mahayana Dharma. How truly fortunate we are. And this incredible opportunity, I will not let it go to waste. Whatever period of time I still have left in this life, I'll put it to best use. I will not let it go to waste. I will use this opportunity to benefit beings. And as I've seen here, the very best way I can benefit others is to generate bodhicitta. How wonderful it would be if all beings were bodhisattvas. All those that I can call to mind, and even those that I cannot, how wonderful it would be if they were bodhisattvas. For all beings to become so, I must generate bodhicitta myself. I will do so. I've seen all the benefits of bodhicitta. I've reminded myself of these benefits of bodhicitta. I will generate bodhicitta in this very life. This is advice from Shantideva. This is our spiritual instruction, to train our mind in this way. So thank you very much. And we can finish there for this week. If you have any questions, then please feel free to ask. At the back.
I think the Chandresi in front of him holds a wish-fulfilling jewel. I also heard that it's a jewel that helps with bodhicitta or a bodhicitta jewel. Could you explain that a little bit?
So can explain the jewel that Chandresi holds? That I've heard it's a wish-fulfilling jewel, a jewel that helps with bodhicitta.
Yes, something along that.
So can I just explain that?
Jianshu sem cungo le xie le. Jianshu sem cungo le da dungo le. No, Jianshu sem ge da dungo le. Noru sne ga le rinpoche ri dirwa. An 저기 세라당 우유디 노블 방한테 대해서 디 노르드네 가요래 델라테네 아주 튕게 야고네 동화 먹고 세두고 소소에 강아 먹고 세두고 디 난시 노부세디 장슈 셈디 냠는 제바이나 니기다 디디 셰바나 싱아주 그 코와게 둥아다 다 차상 독신의 섬 투고래 지사 장슈 셈디 냠는 제고래서 노부디기 장슈 셈 천고래.
So the jewel that Chenrezig holds symbolizes bodhicitta. So why is a jewel utilized as a symbol of bodhicitta? So just like jewels in society are of great value, and therefore if one were to have jewels, one could alleviate much common suffering. So too, the jewel of bodhicitta. With such a jewel, one can alleviate all sufferings of all beings. So therefore, the jewel that Chenrezig holds symbolizes bodhicitta, that through it, the suffering of all beings can be eliminated.